I'm Brian Dirkmaat. I grew up in Southern California in Riverside County, which is inland from here. And let's see how I got to where I am now, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I went to law school in San Diego. Most law students try to apply to multiple schools, and I only wanted to go to San Diego, so it was the only school I applied to. I took that risk and got in. And I went to law school because I wanted to work here in San Diego. While I was in law school during my first year, planning for my summer after my first year, I wanted to make sure that I did something that would benefit my career. Some students choose to, I guess, travel or do other things. Plus, it's very hard for a first-year student to get any kind of internship in their first summer. Law firms mostly look for second years. But despite that, I still wanted to work in a legal area that would help my resume, help my career along. And as I was looking for options, I came across a program that my law school offered, and perhaps other law schools do it as well. And this was at the University of San Diego. They did this program where the attorney or the law student could volunteer for a nonprofit organization. And if they approved that nonprofit organization, then the law school would pay the student. I think I got paid $10 an hour, I'm not sure. And then the work of the student would be free to that nonprofit organization. So I thought that was really cool. I surfed before law school and during law school, and because of surfing, I was aware of the Surfrider Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization that works to keep oceans and beaches clean. And I thought what they did was really good. And so I thought the Surfrider Foundation would be a great nonprofit for this program. And I think to do this, you have to first get the job, and then you go back to the school and you say, okay, here's the job I'm going to do you approve it? And I guess if they don't approve, you still got the job and you got to work for free. But that was the risk I took. And so I contacted Surfrider Foundation, and they connected me with Marco Gonzalez, who at the time was a solo attorney practicing in Solana Beach, doing a lot of work for Surfrider Foundation. So I showed up, they gave me his reference, and I went to his office, and it was pretty funny. I was wearing my suit and tie and coat and everything. Walked into his office, and he motioned me to come in. He was on the phone, and he's wearing shorts, flip-flops, and a t-shirt. He talks on the phone for a while, and as soon as he gets off the phone, he looks at me and says, "Don't ever wear that again." So that was the end of suit and tie working with him. He wanted me to work with him, and I got the approval from the law school, and I went ahead and worked that summer. And working with Marco, I got to know a lot about Surfrider, about what he does. I also met Gary Sirota and Rory Wicks, and at the time they were all solo practitioners. Later they went on to form this firm in about 2004. In the meantime, I had a great time working with them, made a lot of good connections, a lot of good friends, enjoyed what I did. And then my pursuits in law school were more business law, where they did environmental litigation. And so during my second year, I looked for internships with firms where I would be doing, hopefully, business transactions. And I got an internship, and I got a job offer upon graduation at a firm in Silicon Valley. And it was a great offer, and I really enjoyed working up there, worked with a lot of great people. And I ended up spending, 8 years practicing in Silicon Valley. In the meantime, again, they had formed the firm in 2004 here. I had graduated in 2001. They formed the firm in 2004. I kept in continual contact with them throughout. I visited them. I came down to San Diego often, mostly visited with Marco, saw Gary a couple of times. And then when an opportunity opened where they needed a full-time business transactions attorney, the opportunity came up, and I took it and moved the family back down here, and that was 2 years ago. So I've been here now for 2 years and love it. Very happy. Well, you've probably seen the dress code. There really is no dress code. We're just steps away from the beach. There's a lot of things. The firm really tries to put into practice what a lot of people talk about, how you need to balance work-life. You need to do excellent legal work for your clients. You need to be an excellent attorney, but you also need to pursue other passions in your life. I'm married with 4 kids. My family is very important to me. Being able to spend time with my family is very important to me. With working here, I'm able to live in the same community. Often in the Bay Area, I lived long commutes from where I worked. Here, I live about 7 miles from the office, so my commute is minimal. The billable hours are not crushing, and so I'm able to be with my family. I'm also able to pursue my personal passions of surfing and skateboarding and other, things related to that. And again, the firm prides itself on doing deals that are at the highest level. When they litigate, they're up against some of the biggest and best firms. In our transactions, a lot of the transactions we do on the other side of the deals are some of the biggest and best firms. And so it's very important to us to practice at the highest level, but also enjoy a lifestyle that works long term. You look at how I ended up here, and it didn't happen intentionally, I guess, but it was from following my passions. I surfed, and I knew about Surfrider Foundation, and I thought it would be really fun to work with Surfrider Foundation. But I wanted to do business transactional law, so I didn't really intend for that to lead to a job. I had no idea that would lead to a job, but it ended up leading to a job. And so it's kind of interesting how that worked out, that when you follow your passions and you do what you enjoy, you do the best job possible you can at everything you do, and you be who you are, you follow your passions, and also make friends along the way and keep in contact with your friends.
Can you think of anything that maybe you've had the opportunity to see, like someone that's looking for a legal job do that just really turned you off, that you could tell pretty much immediately that that's not something that a law student should do when trying to find a job?
Let me try to think if I've seen any bad. I guess I don't know how much of this I've seen, but just be really careful about the resume that you put together. It should be really solid, no typos. Spend a lot of time on that. Also spend a lot of time on preparing for interviews. Some people just go to an interview, but others really think about who they're interviewing with. And I have seen law students who might come interview and who don't know much about who they're interviewing with, or they haven't done their research on like the firm, the attorneys, what the attorneys are doing. It's just kind of another interview for them, and that kind of shows real quickly. Any other bad acts? I guess one other thing I've seen is people who do really well in law school are at the top of the class, and then the natural progression then is to go to the top firms. And that's just a mistake I think I've seen. I've been practicing long enough to where I've had friends that have gotten jobs at the big firms, and I've seen the consequences on their families and on their personal lives. And out of, 10 or 15 of good friends at big firms, I think only 1 or 2 are still at big firms. It's just, in my opinion, if you want to have a quality life, and especially if you want to have a family, and if you intend to be a mother or a father who spends time with your children and your spouse, it's really hard today to do that at a big firm. The salary is really attractive, and it certainly helps pay off the student loans. I can't deny that, but the long-term effects are brutal. And I'm not sure that big firms were like that in the past. I think that perhaps big firms have changed. I think that there are older senior partners at big firms who have had great lives, but I believe that the situation is different now. I think the demands on new attorneys at big firms are much different than they were 10, 20 years ago. One, I'm not sure that the guys in the top 10% don't need to differentiate themselves, because if all they have is a great GPA, I think that's kind of shallow. So I think even the top 10% need to have personality. They need to have passions and interests. I'm not sure about that though. I'm not a big firm and I'm not looking at hiring. So I guess outside of the top 10%, I was not in the top 10%. And 90% of attorneys are not. Let me think. I think just be true to yourself. Be who you really are. Follow your passions. Everybody has something unique and passionate about them. They have some interests, some hobbies, some things that really spark their passions. And follow that. Pursue that. Don't think it's weird. I spent 2 years in Europe, and I learned how fun it is to go mushroom hunting and to cook gourmet mushrooms from the stuff you find in the forest. Well, people in the U.S. are scared by that. They think, oh, you're going to die from finding toxic mushrooms, and they think it's pretty extreme and weird. But I have listed that on resumes, that I enjoy mushroom hunting, and it's led to interesting conversations. So even something as obscure and weird as mushroom hunting can potentially get you a job, who knows? Or it can just open up the possibility for more conversation and allows someone to get to know you better. So the more of that you have, I think the better.